Hey, it's Jill Riley from The Current, Minnesota Public Radio, another live virtual session. And I'm very excited for the guest today, Margo Price, who has been doing just a ton of interviews as her record, That's How Rumors Get Started, is out. It is out now in the world. Margo, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing well. Yeah. Thank you for having me on.
Of course. Yeah, we're a big fan of your music here at The Current. Going back to the record Midwest Farmer's Daughter to All American Made. And here it is. It just feels like the long-awaited follow-up. And maybe it just feels even longer because of this pandemic. That's how rumors get started. So how does it feel to have it out into the world?
Oh, it's great. I think, you always kind of get this, there's so much buildup and like putting out a record, and then you get this kind of depression once it's out because you're like, all right, well, now I got to just start working on another one. But I'm so thrilled that it's finally out there and that it gives people something else to listen to because obviously we have not a lot of new films coming out or TV. And yeah, it's been a long time coming.
It has been a long time coming. And where did it start with this record? I mean, when was the beginning? I mean, even just thinking about, okay, I'm going to start writing songs for this. I want to get into the studio. Where did the planning stages start?
Well, I always am kind of writing, and I think after All American Made, I just kind of started looking towards what I wanted to do sonically and how I wanted to change things. So my husband and I kind of began, writing even in 2017. But Sturgill and I started talking about getting into the studio summer of 2018, and then we made that happen in December. We went to East West in Los Angeles and started recording, and then we came back to Nashville, and I worked on it a ton at David Ferguson's place, The Butcher Shop. He also co-produced and engineered and stuff. So it's been like 3 years in the making.
Well, here it is. And we'll talk more about the record and we'll talk about, I want to talk about Nashville a little bit and talk about the people who you made this record with. Let's do that. But I don't want to keep people waiting. Let's hear some of the music from it.
All right, this is the title track off the record. That's how rumors get started. It's been a while since I've been on this side of town. I don't cross the river much these days. I haven't been avoiding you, I'm hardly ever around. Sure, we could talk, but what would I say? And here you are, still doing you. It never worked out, but it never stopped you. All I know is every time that your lips are parted, right behind my back, it's how rumors get started. It's how rumors get started. Word travels faster than a whisper in the wind. Now all the birds are flying south, like hawks and doves, we are at it once again. And you're talking out of both sides of your mouth. And here you are, still doing you. It never worked out, but it never stopped you. All I know is every time that your lips are parted, right behind my back, baby, it's how rumors get started. It's how rumors get started. You're burning bridges and keeping warm by the fire. For what a lovely glow it makes. And I'm growing tired of being your rectifier. I bet it's hard to sleep in the bed of lies that you made. And here you are, still doing you. It never worked out, but it never stopped you. All I know is every time that your lips are parted, right behind my back, it's how rumors get started. 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 All right.
Excellent. So the title track,
Thank
That's
you.
How Rumors Get Started. Margo Price doing a virtual session for the current right now. How about we just hear one more song before we talk more?
Sure, yeah. Let me see. I think I'm gonna do. I've been going back and forth all day here. I'm gonna do "Letting Me Down," which is the last single that we put out, and Sturgill sings on this one. It's a little more upbeat, but I've played it a lot here for a bunch of these sessions, and I just kind of started messing around with a different tempo last night. So we'll see how this goes. School was done and you were gone so fast. Borrowed money that you never paid back. Gave up everything that couldn't last, and left a hole in this town. They don't make 'em like you no more. Your mama's working at the liquor store. But we don't talk about it anymore. And you don't come around. Everybody's lonely. Oh, babe, just look around. You gotta wait. Oh, you gotta wait. Of letting me down. Of letting me down. You're in another the dream I had. Still running from your deadbeat dad. I had a feeling it would turn out bad, babe, and I never woke up. But bad luck, you know, it don't come cheap. But things changing, baby, nothing's concrete. A full moon above an empty street. I only wanted your love. Everybody's lonely. Oh, babe, just look around. You gotta wait. Oh, you gotta wait. Oh, you gotta wait. You gotta wait. Of letting me down. Of letting me down. Letting me down. Letting me down.
Excellent. Margo Price, Letting Me Down. We also heard the title track, That's How Rumors Get Started. So, Marco, you mentioned that song, Letting Me Down, and already just trying to play with different ways of playing it. But on the record, you mentioned that Sturgill Simpson sings on that one. And I was really excited to see that you were working with him on this record. And, you know, I just think of this. It's sort of two different worlds of Nashville going on. You know, there's kind of the plastic country world, and then there's this country world, and the country world that I'm really into, where it's, you know, the great singer-songwriters like you, like Sturgill Simpson, like Jason Isbell, and you've got I kind of assumed that you all kind of just like run in this crowd together and stick together. But it was really cool to see you working with another one of your peers in Nashville. And I wonder, where did that working relationship start?
It started quite a long time ago. My husband and him worked at a grocery store together, and we just started playing music in little clubs like the Five Spot, and we're both, very unknown in the scene, and kind of, trying to get our foot in the door at the same time. So it's been really cool to see him, grow as an artist, and I'm glad that we finally got to work together on something in the studio, because kind of everything else we'd done in the past was just like, playing small clubs, or just like picking on the porch, and yeah, it's been a really good working relationship. We are both pretty honest with each other with everything, very transparent, and it's really nice to have him in my corner, because I do think, a lot of people assume that like kind of everybody that is in that Americana scene is like, best friends. But I do think that, the one thing that doesn't get mentioned a lot is that, Nashville is very competitive, and there are kind of like alliances, and it can get a little ugly, but it's really good that that Stu and I can be outsiders together.
And it's great. And, he has a lot of mystery around him. Whereas you are very giving of yourself. I mean, you share a lot about your life, you share a lot about your feelings, you share a lot about your beliefs. And yeah, so I just thought people that I really admire in Nashville coming together to work together, that was really cool to see. Back in 2018, I was at the Hinterland Festival, and I remember both of you were on the lineup, and I'm like, okay, if I could design a country music station, that's who I would want on it. I would want people like, Sturgill and Jason Isbell and you and, Nikki Lane and the people that aren't getting the attention from the people in Nashville they should be getting attention from. But then I wonder, is that the kind of attention that you want? I mean, how do you see yourself fitting into the Nashville scene?
I don't see myself fitting in there. I think a lot of people are frustrated with this old regime that is in there, and especially the radio programmers and just different organizations. I don't really need to name name any of them, but I think for me, I was never trying to get an award when I started, writing. I never wanted to be on country radio because I don't listen to country radio. I listen to stuff like The Current. I listen to, a lot of college radio stations, a lot of NPR, Sirius XM. But I do see a lot of people fighting for to be on those country radio stations, and I think that's really dangerous because once you start writing to be in a certain category, it's going to damage the art. So I just really try not to think about getting accolades or having any kind of like success in those mainstream facets because I don't think that those would be types of people that I would want to go rub elbows with and like have a conversation. I think it would be painfully boring.
Yeah, that world, and you mentioned how competitive it is, and there is those old traditions of Nashville where and it's not just, and you mentioned radio. I know it well. I've worked in the radio business for long enough, especially as a woman working on the air and in media, and just hoping that either I can help create change now or I can sit and wait for like this next generation to happen. And I would hope that as generations continue to take, positions of leadership in any industry, that things start to change and evolve. But my God, why wait 10 years? I mean, there's just a lot that as an artist and you with a platform that you can do to create change now.
Yeah, I catch a lot of flack for a lot of the things I say, and I definitely get some hate mail and some hateful comments. But there's been so many insults and just dirty names hurled at me. At this point, I have like created a protective shell that it's really hard to for anyone to get through and really hurt me. I mean, I hurt myself enough, so I don't I don't need any I don't need anybody else.
Nobody hates me as much as I hate me. So I guess maybe if you have that kind of attitude to maybe survive in the whole entertainment business, it works for
Yeah.
some. Maybe it's not a healthy way of thinking for all.
Yeah.
Um, so Margo, when you were just mentioning when you were starting out and you were playing the small clubs, and you got to sign a record deal with Third Man Records, and Jack White saw something in you that kind of gave you the door open to be able to make the music that you wanted to make. This new record, That's How Rumors Get Started, it didn't come out on Third Man. You have signed with a different label. And it's still an independent label. And why did you decide to go that route? And did you feel pressure from, that music industry machine that we're talking about to try to get that bigger record deal?
Um, I think that a strong career is kind of like a river, for lack of a better analogy. It changes and it flows, and you don't know when you get in at the beginning, what you're gonna pass by and how things are gonna change. For me, Loma Vista just felt like a really natural next step. And of course, I had other people come knock on my door, and I took meetings. I kept an open mind about it, but I didn't want to. I didn't want to sign over my rights to my songs. I didn't want to give up my publishing on them for my entire life. I think that releasing things independently on your own is also a great move, and then you can keep the record sales. But I need someone there to help me get this out. I mean, I can barely find time with the kids and the schedule to just write a song. So I'm still very happy that I have a label, but I do think that maybe it's something in the next like 20, 30 years that like artists might not even sign to labels. And I am just really glad that I found Loma Vista, because the other options that I had they were just not up my alley. And I'm wouldn't no matter what the money that was offered, I'm not willing to sacrifice creative control or just my songs. They're like my children. I can't sell them completely.
Yeah, and it's one thing to talk about coming to this, whole industry or the way you approach your songwriting. With that word authentic can, I think, be thrown around, but it's one thing to say it, but to actually live it. And it's really impressive that, you're very confident in what works for you, and I think that that's the kind of thing that gets admired about, an artist like you, and your ability to say, okay, this is what I want. I want control of my music. And, like these songs are, like practically like your children. And, and you want to be able to express what you believe and talk about the things that are important to you. Jason Isbell wrote something on Twitter that I can't get out of my head, because I think even like just a regular person working a 9 to 5 job can relate to it. Just this idea of not making everyone happy all the time. And especially for you, I'm sure you've heard this, if you can't say that, you're going to lose some of your audience. I've certainly heard stuff like that in public radio. But Jason Isbell said, maybe so, but I get to keep all of my soul. And I couldn't stop reading that line. I just, maybe so, but I get to keep who I am.
Well, that reminds me of a Bob Dylan line that's even better. It's all the money you make can never buy back your soul. And, I think that so many people, so many artists, they don't look at the long run, and they think like, I can be in this commercial and I can make $200,000. I'm going to like whore my songs out. And I've said no to so many commercials. And, at this point, I can't even make money on the road. And, but, I think there still is something to be said about having integrity. And I even feel that way with like collaborating with other artists. And, I cannot, be in a group or a band or do a duet with somebody whose music I don't admire just because they might have, a million Instagram followers. I'm not looking for a shortcut to some fame. I already have taken the long way here. So why would I start, compromising my my morals at this point?
Yeah. So, I mean, you've been doing a lot of press with the release of this record, because that's kind of what you got to do right now. It really, I got to say, I really feel for you, and the fact that I know that you want to get out and play these songs with a band and get out on the road and tour this album. And the fact that you can't do it yet, I mean, it just plain sucks, So, the fact that we can sit down and at least talk about it, talk about that's how rumors get started, and talk about where you are in your career. I appreciate that you're doing that. And what I do want to ask next is, what are some ways that you've been trying to get creative? There are the non-creative way when you're doing press record is you try to secure like a late night TV spot. I mean, you were able to do that. What did you do recently? And you kind of did a creative way of getting your band together.
Yeah, we've wanted to rehearse with each other, and we want to do it safely. So we just kind of started rehearsing in my backyard, around our pool, and we would have a little fire going, and my husband and my mom would like watch the practice. And so, yeah, I guess Jimmy Kimmel found out that we were rehearsing in the backyard, and he thought, like, would you guys like to perform from there? And um, I think you know, it it turned out well, considering, like, what we could, because so many people have been doing the squares, and everybody like layers their tracks, and this felt like kind of more like we were back together playing as a band, even though we were spaced apart, like, you know 6 feet to 20 feet or 30 feet. But yeah, it's been a lot of press, but I mean, yeah, I'd love to get out and play shows right now. I mean, I feel like, I know why the caged bird sings, or I mean, I just have so much like energy that I can't get out. it's it's kind of frustrating, but this is my little window to the outside world, and it's my way of coming to Minnesota for a moment. I mean, I wish I could be there and play First Avenue and do all the things that I love to do when I'm traveling. And I know that the road will be there. It's just, it feels like, like our administration is making everything take longer, and that really sucks.
Hmm. Yeah, we can't wait to see you back just live and in person. And I think we're just getting to this point where we almost forget. Or maybe we've taken it all for granted, and I don't know. Sometimes I just feel like I took it for granted, and now this is my punishment, and I have to earn it back or something. I don't know. But these are the kind of the thoughts that go through our heads when we have the things that make us feel good by going to a concert, or for you to be able to perform. When those things stop, I think we either wonder why they went away, or we kind of take this time to learn a little bit about ourselves. And I wonder, during this time that you've been at home, I mean, it's a blessing in a way, because you have a new addition to your family, and you're able to really spend that time. Is there something that you find that you've learned about yourself, while you've been at home? And while, I know that you have talked about how even your husband had symptoms of COVID-19, and you guys kind of went through that scare.
Oh, he completely had it. I mean, he had an indeterminate test, but John Prine also had his test came back indeterminate as well. Um, it we definitely have a new lease on life with just being healthy and everyone being able to be together. I mean, when he was sick, uh, and my daughter Ramona was also having these really bad ear infections, and she just was not herself for weeks and weeks. And the doctors didn't want to do the test on her, and I don't really know why. We have a lot of things to figure out with the testing and with this disease in general, but I just thought to myself, if I lost either one of them, I didn't know if I'd be able to like pick up the pieces like I did after, losing my first son. I don't think I could have carried on. I don't think I could have put the album out. I don't think there would have been any like ray of hope for me at that point. But I've really tried to express to my 10-year-old son, he's having a harder time with it. He misses his friends, he misses school, he doesn't understand why all of this is happening. And I just keep trying to tell him that tough times build character, and we are going to come out of this with a new lease on life and newfound thankfulness. And I mean, we're just so lucky to have a roof over our heads and food on the table. My heart goes out to all the children in ICE that are being separated from their families, people that are in jail, homeless people. I want to do more for the world, and I want to help people in more ways that I can. And I feel like everybody in this situation has been giving more to charity and helping those that are less fortunate. And although I wish that we had leadership that was uniting people through these struggling times, I think that there is a beautiful part of the human race that's just going to do that anyway. I know there's a lot of people out there that are doing things to make the world better. So we'll just keep on trucking.
Well, keep on trucking, and it's it's that message that, I mean, right there, that there is hope. There is something there's something waiting. Next year is gonna look different than this year. I think a lot of people are just they're really holding on to that hope, and just the idea that, let's just be good to each other, and I'm gonna protect you from me, and you'll protect, me from you, and we put on these things right here, and we're just gonna get on the other side of this.
Yeah, agreed. Have a lot of hope.
Okay. Well, on that note, I think that's a good place to stop. The record is called That's How Rumors Get Started. Margo Price doing a virtual session for The Current. And if I can get you to just go on out with one more song, that'd be awesome.
Sure, why not? No, I appreciate the support from The Current. I remember one of my first shows opening up there. It was, I think, before I even signed with Third Man, but I'm going to do a song called Stone Me. And yeah, this is just about not being able to please all the people all the time, but not caring. Everybody wants to live in a glass house. I'd rather stay home, 'cause when I go out, I wish I never did. Take me back home when I was a kid. Sobriety is a hell of a drug. They say you only fight with the people you love, but I won't forget what it's like to be poor. Could be there again, baby, that's for sure. Love me, hate me, desecrate me. Call me a bitch, then call me baby. You don't know me. You don't own me. Yeah, that's no way to stone me. Yeah, that's no way to stone me. You can pick a side, but baby, both are wrong. You can fight the good fight, but you're on your own. I used to feel love, but now I feel used. Almost went broke just from paying dues. Through the mud and rain, you can drag my name. You can say I spent my life in vain, but I won't be ashamed of what I am for your judgment day. I don't give a damn. Love me, hate me, desecrate me. Call me a bitch, then call me baby. You don't know me. You don't own me. Yeah, that's no way to stone 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 me. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Margo Price.